Tonight I attend the Red Wedding. I become friends with a polar bear and I meet
the King in the North!
Welcome back to another video, everyone. Tonight we will be getting the Platinum for Telltale's Game of Thrones. There is 49 trophies required for the Platinum, and like most Telltale games, they are all achieved by just completing the game. Unlike other Telltale games though, we play as multiple characters in this, but they are all a part of one house in Game of Thrones. So we play as all these different characters, which does allow you to jump from one place to the other. Before we begin, if you like the video, hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. So we begin our story outside the Twins, and we are attending a wedding which will obviously be a fun occasion. What could possibly go wrong? This is our first character, Garrett Tuttle. He's a squire for House Forrester. Oh, never mind, he's been knighted within 2 minutes of the game starting. We have been asked to fetch some more wine for the lads, and things are starting to look a wee bit dodgy. I mean, who attends a wedding with crossbows and swords and probably just being paranoid? But then the Freys start to play the Reigns of Castamere. Oh yeah, I forgot it's a wedding in Game of Thrones, so obviously people need to die. So yay, the Freys betray the Starks and start killing our men. I mean, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones by now, what are you even doing with your life? But anyway, we begin fighting our way back to Lord Forrester, and we bump into Roderick. It's okay, though he's a great fighter. Oh, and he's dead, never mind. We finally reach Lord Forrester, and we flee with him to the woods. He then gives us his sword and tells us to make sure the North Grove is never lost, and then he dies. I get the feeling the Forresters are going to be as unlucky as the Starks. This gets us the first trophy of the video. We then try return to our home, but once we get there, we find Bolton soldiers as well as Whitehill men who have attacked our father and killed his livestock. So like anyone who gets a cool great sword, we instantly decide to use it but get swiftly disarmed, but we find our axe and plant it in this guy's face. We carry on fighting after getting stabbed in the leg and finally disarm the third man, and I don't believe in mercy, so we kill him and get another trophy while this twat flees. So our dad and sister are dead, so we head back to Ironrath where the Forresters live. Once inside, we then let this weirdo put maggots in our leg before some more Forresters show up, and we give them back the sword. My uncle Duncan and Sir Angry all the time show up, and my uncle demands I go the Night's Watch so the Boltons can't kill me, and I accept. We then tell him about the North Grove and set out on our way, while Talia here gives us a necklace, and the game gives me a trophy. We now play as Ethan Forrester, who is the new lord even though he's about 12. But anyway, so once inside our arch nemesis, this fat twat Lud Whitehill shows up and demands to kill Garrett, but we tell him to shut it, and he finally gets the message and leaves. This gets us another trophy. We then jump to King's Landing where we play as our third character, Mira Forrester. And honestly lads, her story is an absolute snorefest. Yes, we get to meet Cersei, Margaery and Tyrion, but her story is basically people telling her they will help her family, and then they betray her so. But we ask Margaery to help us out and she says she will try. Then I realise she's asking Joffrey, so may as well not bother. Jumping back to Garrett while he's on his way to the Night Watch, we see this nice gentleman. I'm sure he isn't like a psycho torturer who skins people alive for fun. Oh, never mind, he's skinning this guy for fun. We then jump back to Ethan and have to decide what to do with this thief. So I chop off his fingers because I'm a psycho, and after this I get another trophy. I then pick Mr. Angry as my second in command, and this gets me another trophy. I then agree to let my uncle Malcolm go find Asher, who is, you guessed it, another player character. We quickly jump back to Mira for 2 seconds, and Margaery tells us that Joffrey basically told her to piss off, so of course we aren't going to get any help. Now back as Ethan, Ramsay Snow shows up, and isn't too happy, but he never is so. Plus he brought his bum buddy Lud Whitehill with him, so he basically tries to steal our sister, and once I tell him no, he just stabs me in the neck, and he steals my younger brother, so not a great day for the family. I then just die RIP Ethan, but I get another trophy, followed by yet another trophy. We then end up on the other side of the world, and we are playing as Asher Forrester, who is an exile and a mercenary. And of course the job we are doing just goes sideways, because every Forrester has no luck. So we start getting attacked by the Lost Legion, and after taking out a few of their members, we then chop the hand off their leader, and then snap his neck. Oh, and Malcolm, my uncle, who we sent over to find Asher, just happens to appear, and tells me he's bringing me home plus another trophy. We then end up playing as Roderick, who is our 100th playable character it seems, and he's just half dead in the back of a car. I wonder if this other fella can help. Oh, it's our dead dad, never mind. Luckily enough, we are brought back to Ironrath, and we fling ourselves out of the cart, so people can see we are still alive.
Give me something for the pain, and let me die.
We then wake up later after being operated, and try climb out of bed, and make it about 2 steps before collapsing. But we finally get back out, and limp our way out of the room, and get another trophy. Back as Garrett now, we finally end up at the wall, and instantly meet Cotter. And this is Frostfinger, aka a knockoff version of Quarren Half Hand. But we get another trophy. Back again, Roderick, we tell this White Hill soldier to get to fuck before we batter him, and then head inside where we find Duncan and Royland arguing for the millionth time. So I slam my fist on the table and call them both useless and get another trophy. We then play as Mira for the only reasons was to find out where we sit for the wedding. Her story is so dead, kill me right now. But back to a good character, we play as Garrett again, and we meet Finn, who's the Night's Watch bully essentially. But we have to show if we can fight or not to be able to join the Rangers. So we wreck this geezer in the 1v1 duel, and then hit this stationary target with a dirty hardscope, but don't celebrate yet, because Finn thinks Cotter stole his knife, which he did. But I decide to hit Finn and stick up for Cotter, and then Cotter shows us he had the knife. Back as Mira, I'm just bursting with excitement. We talk to these two morons to stop them from buying ironwood off the White Hills, blah blah blah, and this gets us another trophy. Asher and the gang are now hiding from the Lost Legion, but I managed to pick this one guard off. We then play as Roderick again, and we are trying to secure a marriage with Elena Glenmore, because she will basically give us her army. So we drop some half-dead man disabled Riz on her, before Lud Double Chins shows up, and he asks me to kiss his ring, and I tell him to suck my... but we get another trophy. We then quickly play as Mira, where we get attacked by a Lannister guard who tries kill us, because we stop the White Hills getting the ironwood deal. We get saved by Tom the Coal Lad, and we decide to return the favour by shanking the guard and then fleeing. This gets us another trophy. Back as Roderick, we are at the funeral of Ethan and our fathers, but we get interrupted by one of the White Hills who talks about us agreeing to a truce. I then tell her to hit the road, and then we burn our brother and father and get another trophy. Back as Asher, the Lost Legion aren't that lost, because they found us, so we run into this cave to hide, and just my fucking luck, Drogon happens just to be chilling in this random cave. So I decide to try fight him even though I know he doesn't die. So that was another brilliant decision, but it doesn't take him long until he hits us with the... Me, Malcolm and Beshka then flee for our lives, while Drogon snacks on the Lost Legion, and we get another trophy. Me and the gang are then on our way to swear our vows to the Night's Watch, and instead of pressing X, once we actually get the full speech drawn out, which is pretty cool, and that gets us another trophy. We then meet our uncle back at Castle Black. You know the guy who sent us here, but we use our big brains to find out where the North Grove roughly is. For such a well-kept secret, it took us about 30 seconds to find it. Back as Roderick, we then bump into another White Hill called Griff. And yes, he's just as annoying as his other family members. But we quickly get another trophy before we decide to try and get Griff out of Ironrath. Back in King's Landing, we are at Joffrey's wedding, and I'm sure it will go much better than the last one we went to. Oh, never mind, Joffrey's dead, and Tyrion has been arrested. Oh, and the man who killed Garrett's family rocks up to the Night's Watch, which will be awkward. We then meet with Gwyn Whitehill, and she basically tells us to surrender, and that we have no chance of winning, and also that we have a traitor in our house. It wouldn't be Game of Thrones without everyone getting betrayed, so it makes sense, and this gets us another trophy. Once back at Ironrath, we find some White Hill guards mocking Ethan's death, and let's just say Roderick wants all the smoke. So we slap this twat, and then get threatened by this absolute fridge of a man. Cotter then tells us he's a wilding before we play as Asher, and meet his best friend.
Great friends.
Asher fucking Forrester.
Oh, friend!
So our new best friend goes to cut our eye out, and then he doesn't, because when you're a sellsword on the other side of the world, this is the sense of humour you develop, but this gets us a trophy. Back at Castle Black, we just happen to be all alone when the man who killed Garrett's family shows up, so we all know where this is going. I don't know what's worse, this guy's ability to fight or that dodgy bowl cut, but after a quick duel and smashing his head into the ice, he dies. Griff then carries on being a dick and pushes Talia. So I hit him with the old overhand right before I get hit with the uppercut from hell and get dropped. So we ask our pal Royland for some help, and it's about time he done something. But he gets immediately flattened by the walking Terminator. So me and Griff then play a game of how many times can you knock the cripple down before he gets bored, and after getting back up several times, Griff throws his toys out the pram and storms off while I get another trophy. We then follow that up with another 2 trophies for finishing the chapter and the episode off. Back at Castle Black, we then are being asked about our fight with the bowl-cut twat, and finally Finn does something useful and sticks up for us, but Frostfinger calls us a dirty liar, and despite Jon Snow's best attempts, we get locked up. But we get another trophy. From Jon Snow to meeting Daenerys, we are really meeting all the big characters now, and I'm about to drop some amazing riz. Oh shit, another dragon. So, obviously we try and impress her by petting the dragon, and that goes about as well as you'd expect. But yeah, She asks us to help liberate Meereen in exchange for some of the second sons, and we get another trophy. Back as Roderick, we then finally get some of the Glenmore army, which I know exactly what I will be using them for. We quickly jump back to Mira.
Don't
She's
do
reading.
it to me.
That's all she's
I
doing.
beg you.
Or,
No.
it's so boring, kill me now. Garrett's now escaping Castle Black with the help of his wilding friend Cotter, and it just so happens that there's this loose stone which allows me to break out of the jail. Once outside, we bump into Finn, who also is looking to leave, so the three amigos head north of the wall to find the North Grove, and we get another trophy. Again, we are back in Ironrath, as Roderick and the Whitehill men are abusing the Maestire, and once inside we sit Griff down like the wee boy he is. Then we summon the Glenmore Guard, who head in like the elves arriving at Helm's Deep. And waste no time mucking around and instantly hit a quick scope. Now, the moment I've been waiting for, I start absolutely battering this scumbag Griff, who smiles and laughs at first, but once I ram my walking stick into his eye, he isn't laughing anymore. So we spit on him and get another trophy. Once more we play as Mira, and all you need to know is she gets more information about Lud Whitehill sending a lot of gold to King's Landing. And we get another trophy. Cut back to the three amigos north of the wall, of course. We instantly bump into wildlings, and Cotter, having 3 brain cells, decides to try negotiate with them, and it goes as well as anyone who knows what a wilding is expects. So eventually we help our mate out, but find ourselves surrounded. After a short tussle with this wilding, we then decide to tickle her armpit with this spear, and turn into prime Legolas for this shot. We then jump to the other 3 amigos who are trying to liberate Meereen, but Beshka bumps into her old slave master, which is awkward, but I'm trying to impress Dany, so I tell her not to kill him. Can you blame me for trying to win over Emilia Clarke? Come on. But she agrees to spare him, and we get another trophy. Back north of the wall, Cotter leads us to a wilding camp, and it's here where we find Cotter's sister, which he told no one about. We once again cut back to Roderick, and we are inside Lud Whitehill's castle, but before I can comment on his double chin, he brings our brother out and immediately threatens to kill him, but we hit him with the Uno reverse and tell him we have Griff, so he agrees to do a trade. Now Asher and the gang, we are sneaking into a camp in Meereen, and once inside, Croft takes out 2 guards with a crossbow. I've no idea how he reloaded that quick, but anyway. After taking out 2 more guards quietly, we then fight our way to the signal so they can't alert the city, but we have no luck, and the signal gets lit, so we hit a crazy trick shot with the axe, but then a guard appears out of thin air, so we just say fuck it and destroy the statue and ruin everyone's fun and get another trophy. Back as Roderick, we bump into everyone's favourite psycho Ramsay Snow, and we get a trophy. So Ramsay's being unhinged as usual, as tells us to follow him out into the woods, and it's here where we find Arthur Glenmore has been flayed. At least he didn't get the Theon treatment. I then try stab him, even though I've seen Game of Thrones and know he doesn't die, so not my smartest move. So Elena then shows up and finds her dead brother, and I think this is the perfect time to drop some more crippled Riz on her, and this gets us a trophy. Mira then gets arrested for killing the guard. That's all I have to say about her story. You should be lucky I'm not showing more of it. Once we head back to Dany's camp, she refuses to give us the second sons, which is slightly annoying, and decides to give us a chest of gold instead. Should have killed that slave master now. Oh, and she also decides to keep our uncle as the advisor, so she's just screwed us over. I suppose since Ser Jorah has been exiled, she needs another Westerosi knight to advise her. We then jump back to Garrett and hear Finn shouting for help, and once we arrive back at the camp, we find a white. Garrett really has no luck, but we get another trophy. We then go looking for sellswords in the fighting pits and meet this absolute fridge of a man, so we decide to give him a Glasgow kiss, and we become best friends after. So obviously, to win over a group of killers, we have to kill someone, so we have a 1v1 against Bruce Lee, and he's doing all sorts of flips and spins, but eventually we wear him down enough to disarm and finish him off. We then win the crowd over by calling them all a bunch of bitches if they don't fight with me, and that just happens to work, plus another trophy. So yeah, we are back fighting the undead, and within seconds Finn gets stabbed. So thanks for no help, but we eventually burn the whites, and then grab Cotter and flee before the rest of the whites grab us. People talk about their favourite characters in Game of Thrones, Jon Snow, Ned Stark or Tyrion Lannister, but they all fall short of Mira Forrester, my favourite character. But yeah, jokes aside, Cersei asks us to try get information out of Tyrion, and we get another trophy. We then have a quick conversation with Malcolm before we leave for Westeros, and we get another trophy. I then straight up just tell Tyrion that Cersei sent me and he respects that, unlike the guard who drags me out, but we get another trophy. We then see that Roderick's crippled Riz has worked wonders, but before we can go for round 2, Talia bursts in and tells us that she knows who the traitor is, and I promise her that I will kill them. She tells me the traitor is in the main hall, so I head there now. Turns out the traitor is Duncan, the wee dirty rat. We then hit him with the backhand slap before we kill him. Roderick went from clapping cheeks to killing a man within minutes, what a guy. And we get another trophy. So finally Asher arrives back in Westeros with his sellswords, and we meet up with Roderick, but almost immediately everything goes wrong. A White Hill guard closes the gate, trapping us inside. And with White Hill soldiers approaching, and the gate stuck, we have to choose who stays behind, and even though I prefer Roderick, I let Asher escape because I did not drag him from Essos to Westeros, just for him to die within 20 seconds. I don't know how Roderick manages to fight with his massive balls weighing him down, but even as a cripple, he still manages to cut through several White Hill guards while getting stabbed and hit with arrows. But eventually he gets overpowered and killed, R.I.P. King. This gets us another trophy. Back as Garrod now, and while listening to this tree we get ambushed by a polar bear. Don't know how it's sneaking up on us, but okay. So we run for our lives, and manage to run into a cave which just happens to be the North Grove. Once inside we get captured by the people inside, but we tell them we are from House Forrester. And we get another trophy. So Asher's pissed, and decides to set a trap for the White Hills, and takes out the first guard with a disgusting throw, and then he activates his Spartan Rage and destroys this guy's face. I can honestly say I was spamming R2 right now. Plus we get another trophy. Once home though, we become the new Lord, which means we will die soon as Forrester Lords have no life expectancy. So these two wilding looking people we find are actually Lord Forrester's children, the old guy from the start. There's too many Lord Forresters now. But the woman is a witch, and the man controls the polar bear. We jump back to Ironrath and we are under siege from the White Hills, and they are looking peace, so we can either poison Ludd or ambush him in the hall. So we decide to poison him. This gets us another trophy. Quickly now. As Mira, we find out that this guy who has been pretending to help us actually betrays us. What a shocker. He's just a knockoff version of Littlefinger, so this leads to us getting arrested. Back at the North Grove, we are under attack from some whites. Again, the best kept secret, and some random dead men know how to find it. But after cutting down several whites, we then see our old pal Finn. He wasn't great at fighting when he was alive, so he's even worse now that he is dead, so we burn him with the magic fire and get another trophy. So this next part is a bit weird. Cotter is going to die, and the spooky wilding woman has an army of thralls who do whatever she asks. But she needs blood magic to keep them in line. I'm sure you can see where this is going, so I decide to cut Cotter open, and using his blood to help the witch lady defend the grove. This leads us to yet another trophy. Back as Asher, our mother decides to take one for the team, and she drinks the poisoned wine along with Ludd Whitehill, and he isn't the only twat to be poisoned in this franchise. So Griff does a runner, and alerts his men and a fight breaks out. But the sellswords we got are just a wee bit overpowered compared to Whitehill men, so we kill them easily. We then start fighting with the literal Terminator in armor, and after a quick duel, I just get impaled with a great sword. Honestly, what are Forresters made of? Roderick took like 20 stab wounds to die, and Asher's entire insides have been ripped open, and he's still fighting. But Asher pulls out his trusty axe and buries it in this guy's neck, and then finally does his best Jon Snow impression and sticks his sword through this guy's mouth. He then just rips the sword out like it's nothing, but before we get killed, Royland tackles us out of the way and makes us flee on horseback. While Ironrath burns, we get another trophy. I then have the option to stay and defend the North Grove, or march south to help retake Ironrath. I decide to stay because I did make that promise at the start of the game, plus I sacrificed Cotter, and it would be a bit of a waste to leave now. Mira then gets beheaded for killing that guard, and I'm so glad I never have to play her story again and we get another trophy. Asher's somehow still alive because, even though the Foresters have no luck, they just seem impossible to kill. Oh, and Ryan also is still alive, and that gets us our last 2 trophies, including the Platinum. So that was Telltale's Game of Thrones. Everyone, it was actually a pretty good story overall. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a second game, so the story essentially ends there. But once again, if you liked the video, leave a like, comment, what game you want to see next, and subscribe, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one.